when did the religious stuff get involved?
Well, I was raised. So your question was whether or not my parents were religious.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think if I say yes to that, we're going to picture the wrong thing that we were
Well, let me put it this way. I feel like you speak a religious language a lot.
Yeah.
And I saw your writing in Crashing where that was a major theme.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is something important to you.
No, it's super important.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know, though, that it wasn't like a Bible household.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was pretty, I hate the word secular, but non-religious, let's say. He was really,
He's alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic.
Oh, amazing. Shocking.
I mean, it's so funny that the kid in me is still afraid to say that. I think my dad would say that he struggled with alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So there you go.
So yeah, he had that, and we all had those tendencies. We had narcissistic tendencies, and some of that substance stuff.
But having the alcoholic dad creates the narcissistic issues.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. And I have some of that going on. That's some of the stuff that I work with is narcissism and self-involvement.
It's funny, and I don't consider narcissism a pejorative.
You were saying narcissistic disorder, personality disorder.
Well, then it's
rare.
pejorative. Then it's rare.
Very rare.
It's rare, but if somebody
we have narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah, traits and tendencies and stuff. It's like that's everybody today.
That's right.
And
we also live in a culture that values that.
Oh yeah.
I'm a 3. Do you know the Enneagram? I'm an achiever, and we live in a 3 country that values achieving. So being an achiever in an achiever world, and being a narcissist or having narcissistic tendencies and being a comedian is also rewarded. So it makes it doubly dangerous.
You have to have narcissistic issues to want to get up in front of an audience. There's got to be something that gratifies that.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I've noticed over 20 years of doing stand-up that you can alchemize that lead a little
Absolutely.
bit. And you can start having
100%. It's not all negative.
I've seen other comedians
listen, it's actually kind of, to me, it's almost a neutral. It's just a personality trait.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could have dependent traits. You could have OCD traits.
Just working with what you were given.
And you could use them to your advantage or to a liability. Liability becomes when you lose empathy, you lose concern for feelings, especially other people's. Now we have a problem.
Right.
Now we have a problem.
That's why going up hoping that people feel less alone is a really nice thing.
So the religious thing, you just keep avoiding that, it seems like.
No. I was avoiding a short answer. I really want to talk about this. But it's a more complicated answer than saying we were religious. Because as I was saying, my father wasn't super religious. He was just like, his attitude about the church was, and this is a quote, "You're better with it than without it." You're better with it than without it, Peter.
He's right.
He just wanted us to be normal.
He's right.
He wanted us to be normal. I know that you've been with dying people and you see the benefits of a belief in a higher power. I don't know if my dad was like that. He was more
just
like...
looked at people and they seem to be happier and behave better when they're...
Yeah, you're right. Let's give my dad some credit. You're right. He was like, it's normal, Peter. You don't want to be the fucking weird family that doesn't go to
especially,
church.
did he grow up in Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about every little town. What do you see in every tiny little town? What's the first thing you see?
A church?
The white steeples, yeah.
Right. I thought you were going to say that
Massachusetts.
one weird family that didn't go to church. I think this is what my father would fear, is the family that didn't go to church.
Well, in those... Massachusetts is different. What town?
Lexington.
Okay, so just outside of Boston.
Yeah. Two towns over, basically.
Right out the 2.
But you'd see, like,
right?
I would
on the way
see,
to Athol.
Right off Mass Ave. Is that what you mean?
You're right up there. Yes, that's right.
But we would see the families that would have the like 12-year-old kids that were like lighting the school on fire.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, "That's it, we're going to church."
Yeah.
And my parents would probably have been like, "It's too late. You gotta start early."
True.
So they knew that.
True. Yeah.
But they started going to an evangelical church called the Vineyard when my mother and father were dating, I'm pretty sure. So they went from being Catholic to being evangelical. And then when we started going to church as a family, we went to Grace Chapel in Lexington, which is a non-denominational but evangelical.
Unitarian, sort of?
It's not Unitarian. Although I think you mean Universalist.
No, there's a lot of Unitarian stuff in Massachusetts, but yeah.
Yeah, it was heaven, hell.
Yeah.
Most people, when they say Unitarian, mean Unitarian Universalist. I think there are Unitarians that aren't Universalists.
Who knows?
And they're Catholics.
Far be it from me.
Catholic means universal. Anyway, the idea is when I started going to church and I took to it hard, and this is the story that I tell in my book, which is called Comedy, Sex, God, if people are interested in this sort of thing.
Comedy, Sex, God. I'm going to take you through all those today.
It's available. Yes, please. It's available for pre-order. It would mean a lot if you wanted to check it out.
Oh.
So anyway, the story goes, and it's in the book, the house life wasn't great, wasn't very stable, and school life wasn't very stable. I was teased a lot in school.
For what?
A lot of kids
Too
were.
tall?
No, being soft and clammy-handed and having
Did you
breasts.
play sports?
No.
Okay. What kind of... Well, you weren't like... What kind of high school was it?
Well, I went to a public high school,
Yeah.
and that was actually really good for me. Although it was very, very stressful. I had a bald spot on the side of my head from stress.
Wow.
And what's weird is
Alopecia areata.
no one in my family thought it was weird. Is that what it's called, alopecia areata? People always ask, "Did you pick it?" I'm like, I would have told you I picked my
it's from
hair
stress.
out.
You just people have a car accident, all of a sudden they'll lose a piece of hair.
Because I went from a Quaker school where my teachers called me we called the teachers by their first name, and I used to joke we didn't get grades. You either got a hug or a slightly firmer hug. It was very hippie.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to go to a public high school. And I went from like 3 classes a day learning about like basket weaving to like 5 classes a day in Bells and a campus that was bigger than my college. And you'd have to walk from here to here, and you only had 5 minutes lugging all your books. It was a real Hobbit's
where'd you go to college?
adventure. Well, then I went to Gordon College, which is a Christian college.
Right. But it seems like religion was, you were like having like a landscape of religions. It's like you had a whole seascape.
Not
You know
really.
what I mean?
Where did you get that?
Quaker, evangelical, Catholic.
I wish my Quaker
universal.
school.
That's a lot.
I wish the Quaker school had been more spiritual, because I think the Quakers are really groovy. For better or worse, they're not very proselytizing.
Did you see Rob Delaney's version of it in Catastrophe?
No.
You should watch.
Oh, really?
It's funny. The
He talks
Quakers
about Quakers?
He goes to a Quaker church for a while.
Oh, really?
And then loses it on the Quakers.
Really?
You'll see.
That's interesting. I wonder what you could lose it on the Quakers. They're so meek.
That's what he loses it about.
Oh, they're so meek.
That there's reasons to be angry about certain things.
That's funny. When I've been to a Quaker meeting in Pasadena, actually, and they seemed pretty worked up, actually, about social issues. And they were very on like what happened in the news this week and what we should be protesting and who we should be helping. So they seem
That's how I've always imagined them.
Very
socially active.
Oh no, they are. My school was very progressive.
Yeah.
Like before, we knew what transgender was way before you guys. You know what I mean? It was Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a Quaker school.
I get it.
But like they weren't very spiritual. We did meditate, like we had silent meeting every day, but they didn't teach us how to meditate. And they didn't really teach us, the school was very devoid of spirit. And I think they did that on purpose. They didn't want to mix, church and state, kind of.
Let me.
I sort of wish they had.
I get that. Let me cut to something though that I think a lot about. Can religion help us today? Because I sometimes feel like we need some sort of great awakening, like we had in the 19th century. And I'm not even sure that it has to be religious. Could be just spiritual, so called.
Yeah.
But I feel like we need like some sort of movement together.
Right.
I don't know what it needs to be or what it looks like. Do you have any sense of that?
Religion, okay, so religion means religio. Ligio comes from the word ligament, like to connect. So it's to reconnect. It's to remember. It's to remember our oneness. Jesus is doing this all the time. When he says, what you do to the least of these, you do to me. This is called unitive consciousness, right?
Yep.
It's the idea that you, Dr. Drew, I'm kind of sketching out a joke right now where I'm like, I understand, I want to be very sensitive, but one of the reasons I relate to the transgender idea, the predicament, or whatever you want to call it, the obstacle, is that I relate to it very hard. They say, I don't feel like my gender. I'm like, right on. I don't feel like my body either. Like, that's a really good start. I feel like I am awareness, and I'm stuck in one of these, and we're back to that idea. And then we're back to and if you want to be called a different pronoun, I'm like, yeah, words are very, very powerful. I'd like I don't want you to call me you, I want you to call me me. Like, I want to go like, this me is Dr. Drew. This me is a Jewish guy recording it. What I'm saying is, this me just lost a child.
How are me feeling about this?
Or this me is starving to death. What I'm saying is
we're all part of ourselves.
That's unitive.
We're all part of this.
It's unitive consciousness.
Yeah, I get that.
And I'm not. That's a joke, obviously. But there is something.
Do me get this, Nadav?
Me got it.
Me.
There's
No. Me got it. Me got
that
it.
Me got it. That me got it. But that is an awakening of sorts. One of the reasons why we don't care about the planet is because we've forgotten that
place in the world.
That we're a member of it. That you're as much like a part of the earth as a tree is.
Right.
My friend Michael Gungor has a book called This, and he calls human beings the wireless upgrade. But you are as dependent on the earth as a tree is.
Of course.
And you're breathing in the air.
Of course.
But we've succumbed to this illusion that we're this thing, like we're this alien visitor, and we're here to like fuck it and eat it and drink it. And like we've become a parasite instead of harmonious with one another and with the earth. And here we are in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And I understand that sounds kind of trite. That is the type of thing that I think can help. Whether or not,
This show is going to bum your high so badly.
What's that?
I blame me in there.
What do you mean?
You'll see.
Oh, you mean because we're going to watch clips and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, some me's, it's challenging to love all of me. But don't you see how helpful that language is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I just don't like the government mandating language. That's all.
Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah,
I understand. It's that this me doesn't want the government telling him what language to use. It
goes to a very bad place.
I understand that. I understand that. But what we see, because we're not having a lot of balance, is we're seeing extreme cases of people speaking out for these types of ideas, and we need to find balance.
Yes.